Have you ever seen a lady naked?
Sarcasm?
No, I think she's serious.
This was the unaired original version of The Big Bang Theory.
Let's say the Katie is K, and K equals sad.
And, yeah, it's pretty bad.
The first attempt at the Big Bang Theory was an utter failure.
Where do you keep your hair products?
The original Penny, or Katie, was...
We don't have hair products.
How do I put this lightly?
No, you don't.
Highly unlikable.
She's right, you can't help her.
We didn't have Kaylee Cuoco, we didn't have Simon, and we didn't have Kunal, and the story was a mess.
Katie is a street-hardened, tough woman who is homeless after a breakup. She meets Sheldon and Leonard on the street, who invite her to stay in their apartment.
Figured it out. Where else can I live rent-free without having to bang some loser?
Katie doesn't care much for the boys and just uses them for a place to stay. The plot revolves around her challenging their nerdy interests and making fun of their lack of experience with women.
Allow me to explain it to you in your language. Nerdish.
I remember Nina Tassler, who was
president of CBS,
saying that she thought perhaps the casting of the female lead might be the problem. And I said, no, the problem is the script. Bill Brady and I wrote a shitty script. It was deeply flawed.
Not only did test audiences strongly dislike Katie for being mean to the vulnerable men, but Sheldon was, interesting.
In the first pilot, we discover that Sheldon has a predilection for women with big buttocks.
Oh, get in science all you want. You're an ass man.
And we discovered that, in fact, he has had sexual exploit.
Sheldon and I have had sex.
Oh!
It was at a Star Trek convention. We were in costume, of course. He was doing such an effective job of portraying a Vulcan caught up in the Ponfar mating fever, I couldn't say no.
The woman in question is Gilda, who, along with Katie, creates sexual interest that the men compete for throughout the episode. And the premise just doesn't work.
We didn't understand, how fragile these characters were and how, despite their brilliance, they were very, very vulnerable. We put them in jeopardy or in situations where they were not being taken good care of. The audience was not happy with us. And they also let us know when the show had become too risque.
Okay, if that thing vibrates, I'm gonna need to borrow it.
This is not 2.5 Men. There's a tone and quality to the characters that has to be honored.
So, yeah, the classic sitcom trope of a group of friends hanging out, Laurie neglected that proven formula. Why?
I was really overwhelmed between writing and producing 2.5 Men and trying to keep it successful. And then to do a pilot was a bit of a stretch. I didn't really have the stamina to do both. And the pilot suffered as a result. CBS called me after we shot the first pilot and said, we're not picking it up. We don't think it's quite there. And I said, sadly, I agree with you.
Chuck Lorre realized it's not about some random love triangle. It's about these guys.
We all agreed that we had something special with Jim and Johnny and their relationship and their characters. But the rest of it was swing and a miss. I got a call saying you have to recast female lead, but would you consider trying it again?
I did it because there was so much about the pilot that did work. Johnny Galecki and Jim Parsons had phenomenal chemistry.
And I said, absolutely, I would love to try again. I was doing 2.5 Men, and Bill and I had worked together on Dharma and Greg. He had been on the Gilmore Girls. He was telling me about his days as a computer programmer in New York City back in the 80s, and about the guys that worked with him who, like he is, are brilliant, but entirely socially inept. The kind of guy who can figure pi to 80 decimals like that, but couldn't do a tip in a restaurant because there's too many variables.
I described a person who worked in our office who was a mathematical savant. We would go to a restaurant and we would say, can you leave the tip? And he'd say, I don't know how much to leave. And we'd say it's 15 to 20% based on quality of service. And he would say, how do I evaluate that? Is it the speed with which the food came out? Well, no, that could be the kitchen. Is it the waiter's demeanor? Well, that could be genuine or it could be disingenuous. They could be angling for a tip. And we said to him, why don't you split the difference and leave 17.5% every time? And he said, that's the worst option, mathematically. And we said, why is that the worst option? And he said, because logically it's more likely that service is good or bad. The probability that service is exactly middling is infinitesimally small. Therefore, if each time I tip 17.5%, I can guarantee with near certainty that I am over or under tipping.
I noticed that you offer soup and a half sandwich. Where exactly does the half sandwich come from? You can't make a half sandwich. If it's not half of a whole sandwich, it's just a small sandwich.
Here's an actual conversation between two of the programmers. I'll never forget this. One of them says, "People tell me I stay too long at parties. I don't know when to leave." And the other programmer said, "I used to have this problem, but there's a formula. When you enter the party, count the number of people who are present and assign that value to n. When the number of the people in the party is 0.7 n,
leave." What is the sixth noble gas?
Radon?
Correct. You've passed the first barrier to roommatehood.
And I told that story to Chuck.
And I just remember when he's telling me those stories about these characters.
Then Chuck said, "Well, we've never seen that guy on TV."
I was laughing my ass off because it was just hilarious that these brilliant guys were so ill-equipped to live in the real world.
I literally could not talk to women.
Hi. Everything okay?
And I said, that's a show, but let's get away from computers because that's a cliche. And then the real big creative move, too, was to take it away from computers and go into pure science. Physicists, Richard Feynman, Stephen Hawking, not Bill Gates, not Steve Jobs, but particle physicists, string theory, guys that have no economic incentive.
I don't want to do the computer guys with the pocket protectors and the tape glasses. That's an entrepreneurial get-rich thing. Would it be more interesting if they were into it for the science, not for the $1 million app or whatever?
They just want to unravel the universe. And we were working on an idea about a young woman who's going off to the big city to start her life. And there was a moment in the room where we went, well, what if
these guys
met her?
Met that girl, yeah.
We quickly came to the idea that two elements could marry, that this young woman could be our entree into a world of brilliance. She's us, she's the audience in their world.
CBS was on board to make the pilot. Now all they needed was to find their female lead. When Kaylee Cuoco auditioned for Katie, her main experience was on ABC's 8 Simple Rules.
I was 16 at the time when I started that show. It definitely put me on the map.
She was up against more established actresses, including Marissa Tomei, who was a frontrunner for Katie and even did a screen test with Jim Parsons. Still, in the words of Cuoco, Chuck really wanted me for the role of Katie. Casting director Ken Miller described Cuoco's audition as sunny and bubbly, but given Katie was a darker character, Cuoco just wasn't the essence of Penny in that first incarnation. Also, she was only 20 years old at the time.
I wasn't quite right for it at the time. It was written a little bit older. It was written a little bit harder.
So, she was rejected, and Jodie Lynn O'Keefe was cast as Katie. But, as Jim Parsons recollected, they discovered during that table read that the character's approach to the other characters was too harsh. O'Keefe was fired before cameras ever started rolling, and Amanda Walsh was brought in. After the pilot with her failed, the creators had only one option.
Let's throw out the story.
Every element that failed, Gilda, the dark tone, the sexual Sheldon, was tossed, and Katie was rewritten as Penny.
The character of Penny, not only was she never judgmental about these characters, she was bemused by them. That was also an important difference between what Penny brought versus what Katie brought in the original unaired pilot.
It was a different show, it was a different character. They rebooted the show and turned the character into Penny. Those are two different humans. It all changed.
And that change would require a new actress.
The recasting was a result of rethinking the part, rethinking the quality of this character.
I tested for the Big Bang Theory.
Ironically, Larson was rejected for the same reason Cuoco was denied the role of Katie.
They just said I was too young, which was true.
Laurie knew who he wanted.
Chuck Lorre called me and said, I think this is better for you now.
But Cuoco was over it and actually passed. She liked the darker role from the first pilot and didn't think the rewritten character was as interesting. Nikki spent the entire weekend saying to Kaylee's agent, "She's gotta come back in for this. She's gotta do it." We begged and we pleaded and we groveled. I remember where I was sitting in my house when my agent, Ro, told me, "They really want you for this, and it's probably going to go to series because it's a Chuck show." My team just wanted to make sure I wouldn't be stuck in anything that wasn't an exciting role, since it seemed like a secondary character at first. But Nikki and Ken kept saying, no, it's going to grow. The guys and this new girl are really going to blow each other's worlds up." And I knew when Chuck's name is next to something, you really don't question it. I laugh thinking about it now.
The magic of Kaylee was Kaylee's character was amused by them, was not critical. If she got angry with them, it wasn't harsh. It wasn't malicious. There was a protective quality she had towards them.
Yeah. Sweetie, you are weird. Everyone knows you're weird, but they're all still here because they care about you so much.
The audience really responded to that.
In fact, they brought more judgment to her than she did ever of them.
Well, you liked my short hair, right?
Yeah, I loved it. Love you, love the hair, would love to change the subject.
If these guys, these socially inept, totally incapable, socially awkward human beings could have a chance with a girl like Penny, like Kaylee Cuoco, then there's hope for us all. The audience wanted to protect these two boys, these two men, these two innocents, and she honored that.
Kaylee Cuoco came in, enjoyed the cast, and she was the secret sauce.
But Penny wasn't the only addition to the second pilot. Enter Howard and Raj.
Kuther represents the extreme beyond Sheldon of a withdrawal. Yeah. It's more than by choice, it's by pathology. We worked with a guy who couldn't speak women, who actually had selective mutism. When he'd be talking and a woman would come in.
You guys work with Leonard and Sheldon at the university?
He had stopped talking.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating.
I'm sorry, do you speak English?
Oh, he speaks English, he just can't speak to women.
And there was also another guy that I worked with. He was forever bringing different women around, and he explained that he had 2 rules for being successful with women. Proposition every woman and have no standards.
I work at the Gap.
Really? How about that? I've been to the Gap.
So there's a lot of that going on in Wallowitz.
The second crack at Big Bang was not only an unprecedented gamble.
It happens almost never. Honestly, I don't think it's ever happened to me in my career, 47 and a half years, where a network would say, okay, we missed a little bit on this one, let's try it again.
But it created something truly special that impacted people beyond just laughter.
There have been times where people have come up to us at conventions, and I know it's like we're speaking in a code, and I know what she means. She says, my son is like Sheldon, and you helped him feel a little bit cooler in this world.
It made people feel understood.
And that's one of the best things that I feel this show has ever done.
I'm Adam. This is ScreenPuff. If you enjoyed this, check out this next video. And as always, thanks for watching.